Okay, so now I'm going to tell you how this neighborhood, Coney Island, became kind of the center of amusements, well, at least for a little bit, in the entire country. So, in 1895, the first real theme park was opened by a guy named Captain Paul Boynton. Now, this guy was some like legendary figure. He crossed the English Channel in a rubber suit. The guy, let's see, what else? He was named a captain because he was hired by the Peruvian Navy to put torpedoes and sink Chilean boats, which is kind of cool. The guy claimed to have saved 71 people in 2 years as a lifeguard. He was a real cool guy. I guess today he might have had like a blue check mark or something, you know? I guess that's how you gauge people. Anyways, this guy opened Sea Lion Park in 1895. It's kind of a cool thing. It's not what you would think of, but it was an enclosed area that was a theme park, right? It wasn't until 1902 when it's bought by two guys, a guy named Frederick Thompson and Elmer Dundee, and they opened Luna Park in 1903, that the first real big splash of a park is made. Luna Park was a legendary place. It's named Luna after the sister of Elmer Dundee, kind of interesting little fact. But they bought this thing and it was open until 1944, and it was a really like important place, like tons of lights, and it was a real amazing, like, you know, experience. You know, had different worlds, different countries, and different experiences. In fact, someone who said to have been inspired by it was Walt Disney, who used to come and visit here. Today it's still open. It was reopened actually in 2010, and it continues here today. In fact, one of the rides that's still here is the Cyclone from 1927. Now, this is a roller coaster that, you know, first of all, roller coasters were kind of a thing that was, you know, also kind of birthed here a little bit. It really was just, there was a thing initially called the switchback train. It was just a thing that took you one side and then came back to the other side, and, you know, it was kind of using gravity and all that stuff. But the Cyclone was a crazy one. It was just, it's wooden, still around, over 100 years old, almost 100 years old, sorry. And, you know, it reaches speeds of up to 60 miles an hour, which back then was pretty fast. I know today you're like, oh, there are people on their e-bikes who almost hit me that go faster than that. But back then it was pretty crazy. And it's still here, pretty awesome. In fact, there was a guy who wrote it, the record is he wrote it for 104 straight hours. That's pretty crazy, huh, Eric?
I could not write it for that long.
Yeah, you'd be puking up all that, you know, soy that you eat.
Wow.
You eat a lot of soy, don't you?
I suppose.
I don't know. Anyways, another thing that happened here that's kind of interesting is an elephant called Topsy the elephant, who had his home here, and in 1896 he was actually electrocuted in a video by Thomas Edison to prove the dangers of alternating current versus direct current. It's actually a video. You can still see it on YouTube, actually. How's that for a plug? It's kind of a messed up thing to like put on YouTube. That's the kind of stuff we're competing with. People over there watching that millions of times. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with Topsy Elephant. Don't forget to smash that like button. Sorry. Anyways, you can watch that video on there somewhere, but that happened here. Kind of crazy. Yeah, Luna Park. This is one of the 3 big parks that were open here in the heyday of the amusement parks. Let's go to the next one. What do you think, Eric? Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Okay, so now I'm in front of the New York Aquarium, which was moved here in the 1940s by a man named Robert Moses. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but this used to be the site of Dreamland, which was opened in 1904. So this state senator named William Reynolds saw what Luna Park was doing, saw what the other parks here were doing, including Steeplechase. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And it was a cash grab, baby. Everyone was making money. So he's like, I want to do this too. So he opens Dreamland in 1904, basically building on what Luna Park had already done. So Luna Park had 250,000 lights. This place had 1 million lights. It was this crazy huge thing. It had kind of, it didn't have like the different worlds and all that stuff. It was actually more of like moral tales. Like they had a, you know, like a recreation of Adam and Eve. Had like Bible stories and stuff come to life, kind of whatever. It doesn't sound like the most exciting thing ever, but you know, back then you were kind of bored. There was no, you were kind of looking for stuff to entertain you. So it was really popular. Now, it also had a private beach. Luna Park back then was located a little further inland, so it didn't have a beach. It was a real big deal until 1911 when it burned down, unfortunately, and it was never revived. So this is 1904 to 1911. Wasn't that long, actually. It also kind of started one of the trends which stuck, which was the live human exhibits, which eventually became kind of a staple here in Coney Island. So, for example, they had a whole area like of a little town that was made, a miniature town that was inhabited by dwarves. The whole town, like that's what people, they came and they just looked at like a little town with, you know, little people in it. That was the whole thing, you know. The original It's a Small World, I guess, if you want to call it that. That was pretty good, right, Eric?
Yikes.
Thanks. But yeah, they had that. It also had, this is kind of weird. They had this whole massive, like, basically ward of premature babies. Babies who were born premature, and they had all these incubators, and you could just come and look at these babies being incubated. Isn't that crazy? That was like one of the attractions of this place. I guess that one was called It's a Premature World, after all.
Double yikes.
Yikes is right. But that people would come to see that stuff. So this is kind of the origination of that. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, Dreamland was located right here. We're going to talk about Moses and all that stuff in a second, but this is where it used to be. All right, let's keep moving. Okay, so we're the last stop of the original 3 parks here in Coney Island. First of all, this is the parachute jump. This was actually built originally for the 1939 World's Fair at Flushing Meadows, Corona Park. Oh, how cool is that? And then it was moved here in the early 1940s. This here is where Steeplechase Park was located. Steeplechase Park actually opened in 1897, so it actually predated Luna and Dreamland. But it was one of the 3 big parks here on the water. It was Steeplechase, and there was a space there, and then it was Dreamland, and then in the back, Luna Park was actually off of the beach. So this is where Steeplechase Park was located. It was called Steeplechase Park because the main ride was called the Steeplechase. Oh, and it was actually basically, you would ride on a horse, and it would take you like you were going through a steeplechase ride. It would make jumps, and it was all on tracks, and the women would ride in the back, the men would ride in the front. So if you were, you know, a man, you were paired up with a woman randomly, a random stranger. Which brings up the Tilly mascot that you may recognize, the big tooth guy with the hair parted and everything. That actually was the logo for Steeplechase, called Tilly, because George Tilly, who actually opened the park. He's got a big old smirk, probably because it's the guy who's sitting in front of a stranger woman behind him. Maybe he just got a big old smirk because of that. It was located here until 1964. George Tilly actually famous for saying the quote, if Paris is France, then June through September, Coney Island is the world. Because that's what it was. It was a place where people from all over the world came. People forget that Coney Island really was like the center of amusements in the early 1900s. Like I said, it influenced people like Walt Disney, and it really kind of invented the amusement park. So Steeplechase Park actually was closed in 1964, and the land was sold to a man named Fred Christ Trump. You may recognize that name because this was Donald Trump's father. He bought the land, and the city was kind of looking at the amusements and everything and saving them, looking into maybe landmarking. Before they were able to, though, Fred Trump threw a demolition party, and for all the VIPs and everything that came, he handed out rocks and bricks, and they threw them through the windows and basically demolished everything before the city was able to, save it. He was doing it all based on the possibility of getting it rezoned for him to build a luxury condos and everything. The rezoning didn't go through because his candidate did not win the mayoral election of 1965. He was gunning on Abe Beame, and John Lindsay won. So he was stuck with this property. He ended up selling it a few years later at a hefty profit to the city. Go figure. But the parachute jump is still located here. Kind of saved it. And today, what's on this land is the Brooklyn Cyclones, which is the minor league team here in Brooklyn, and Abe Stark skating rink. Not the first time there was a demolition or a problem with the park. In 1907, actually, there was a huge fire in Steeplechase Park, and George Tilly made it a point to build it back better and stronger. By 1909, it was back up and running, and in the meantime, he actually charged people 10 cents to look at the ruins of the burnt park. Can't make this stuff up, folks. You gotta watch videos like mine to learn about it. Anyways, this was the former site of Steeplechase Park. What do you think, Eric? Should we keep moving to the next spot?
Let's go.
Let's go. Oh, and also I forgot to mention, the reason we're even in this weird angle is because someone's on the boardwalk blasting music. Hey, that's part of it. I just don't want to get copyright stricken, so we're out here in the parking lot. Whatever, it's still a good angle. We're doing what we can. Let's go to the next spot. All right, so now we're next to Deno's Wonder Wheel. This is actually one of the older rides here. I know, no worries, I'm just kind of hanging out at a kid's playground. Not creepy at all, especially with my facial hair and long hair. I'm sure this doesn't look odd, but look, it's all about the shot, baby. Look at that thing, pretty good. Anyways, this thing was built in 1920. Actually, the person who built it was named Charles Herman. He'd actually seen the original one at the Chicago Exposition, a World's Fair there. The original one, Ferris wheel, was actually named after a guy named Ferris. in 1893, but he wanted to build one here immediately. So he built this one, and it's been here since 1920. It was bought by a guy named Deno in 1983 because it was kind of sitting around, and they were going to tear it down. There was talks of all kinds of things, but he revived it, made it nice. Now there's a little park around there. By the way, a little fun fact about him, obviously he's a Greek immigrant with a name like that, but he's also one of 22 children. Isn't that crazy? 22 children, yeah. This is his mother after giving birth to the last 22nd child. But yeah, he opened this, and the reason he said he opened it, he wanted it to be a ring for his wife. The biggest ring possible to show everyone how much love he had for her. It could be seen from everywhere, and it would last forever. But probably won't last forever. I hate to break it to him. Those things fall apart eventually. But never been an accident on it. Perfect safety record, which is kind of cool. Also, it only shut down once, and that was during the blackout of '77. So yeah, the tradition of different theme parks and amusement parks here in Coney Island lives on, which is nice. But we're going to talk about the changes in the neighborhood here in a second. Eric, should we leave this playground?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should. All right, let's go.